In this lesson, we will be studying about cell types and cytoplasm. So, within cell types, we can see there are two types of cells depending upon the architectural structure of the cell. So, these are, you can distinguish between these types as primitive, which are called prokaryotic cells, and true, which are called eukaryotic cellular structure. Okay. So in prokaryotic cells, which are the primitive cells, a proper nucleus is absent. So they do not have a proper membrane bound, well defined nucleus. So the pro over here in the prokaryotic stands for primitive and cryon stands for nucleus. So they do not have a nucleus. Primitive means old, not well developed. Okay. Nucleoid over here. So these cells, instead of a nucleus, they contain nucleoids. Nucleoid is the general body of the cell, which is the cytoplasm, and the genetic material, the DNA, is suspended in the cytoplasm itself. They don't contain a well-defined nucleus. So all of the material is within the cytoplasm itself, and this region is called nucleoids. We'll see a diagram soon. And these are very, very small. Compared to the eukaryotic cell, these are about 10 times smaller. So the other type of cells are eukaryotic cells. U over here stands for true, and cryon or karyotic stands for nucleus. So these cells contain true nucleus, which is a well-defined round shape which we usually see in the cell diagram. And this nucleus is bound by a membrane, so it's a very clear nucleus. This contains specialized organelles as well. So these organelles all have their own function that they do separately and independently to the nucleus. So there would be organelles for protein synthesis and storage, fat synthesis and storage, the transportation of these, the waste disposal within the cell, and so on. Next up is the dimensions or the size of the cell. As I've said before, these are 10 times larger than the prokaryotic cells. So eukaryotic cells are 10 times larger, and they are found in unicellular and multicellular organisms. So we humans are multicellular, so we all this is also within us. These are also within us. So to look at a prokaryotic cell, we can look at a bacteria. So you can see in this cell there is no clear nucleus because this is a prokaryotic cell. There is no clear nucleus, and the DNA, the genetic material of the cell, is found within the cytoplasm of the cell itself. And other little organelles of the cell, like ribosomes, which are responsible for protein synthesis, are also found within this cytoplasm. So everything in these cells is suspended within the cytoplasm itself, and these generally contain a cell wall and a cell cytoplasmic membrane. So they are covered and protected by cell wall, and sometimes they are protected by a capsule like structure as well. So these are prokaryotic cells. Next up, these are eukaryotic cells, the plant cells and the animal cells. Mostly, like every multicellular organism is made up of these only. They have a well-defined nucleus, as you can see. This nucleus is membrane bound, and there are different organelles around the cell as well. And these organelles each have their own specific purpose, and they are also membrane bound. So if we have to look at the differences, the prokaryotic cells do not have a nucleus. Instead, they have a nucleoid which is present, which is basically the genetic material is suspended within the cytoplasm itself. In eukaryotic cells, a well-defined nucleus is present, and it is membrane bound, so it is covered by a membrane. Organelles, they lack membrane bound organelles, so they do not have any membrane bound organelles. They do have organelles, but they're not membrane bound. They are within the cytoplasm itself. In this as well, in eukaryotic cells, the membranes are the organelles are present, like mitochondria, and there is also the ER. We'll be learning about that. So the organelles are present, and they are membrane bound organelles in eukaryotic cells. Typically the size of prokaryotic cells between 1 to 10 micrometer, and in eukaryotic cell 10 to 100 micrometers, so 10 times larger in both sides. The examples are bacteria and archaea, and in eukaryotic cells plants, animals and fungi. And next up we have the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is a semi-fluid jelly-like liquid kind of material, and it fills the space between the nucleus and the cell membrane, the outer cell membrane, and it contains a lot of vital things that are necessary for the cell. It contains the cell organelles, which are responsible for production of fats and proteins within the cell, and also the storage of them, the nutrients. It contains organelles, and it contains enzymes which help with the digestion of and the waste disposal of the materials present within the cell. Most of the metabolic activities, taking a nutrient and taking the waste out, happens over here only, within the cytoplasm of the cell. So this is it for this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.